Good morning, everybody. Hope y'all doing good today. It's old J.R. Willis down here in Mississippi. I'm just getting woke up, so I figured I'd do my little daily vlog video, or every other day, or ever what it is. I try to do one every day, but every day I don't necessarily have nothing on my mind, or a lot of times I'm busy in the morning. It's kind of like a video diary, I guess. Talk about what's been going on, what I did yesterday, what I'm going to do today, stuff like that. Mainly for my own personal self, just kind of keeping up with. There's been times before in my life when I tried to do a diary and I never could stick with it. Writing that stuff down, sitting down and writing it down every day. I just never could stick with it. I would get into it about, I don't know, maybe a month, and that'd be it. But maybe I can have a little bit more long term with this, where I can just hit the camera and hit record and just sit here and talk. It's a little bit easier than sitting there writing it out longhand or whatever. But anyway, no, yesterday was flea market. We went up there. We've been going every Saturday. It started cooling down. I don't know what the date is. It's probably like the October 7th or 8th, somewhere in there. And yeah, that's exactly right. It's the 8th. I was looking at the calendar. So anyway, it's starting to cool off a little bit around here. And I like the fall. It's nice. But I'm not a big fan of winter. I mean, it's okay. But I don't know. A lot of things start giving you trouble around here. We used to always have trouble with the pipes freezing. Well, I got that PEX plumbing put in. Last year we didn't have trouble with them busting, but they did freeze one time. I didn't leave it running, and I should have left it running. If it drops down around here, see, this old house I live in is high up off the ground. Well, in some places it's probably 3 foot, and in other places it's probably just a foot, like up close to the front. And by the bathroom it's about 2 foot, and that's where it would always freeze. As a kid, it would freeze dang near every winter, and me and Dad would be out there wallering around in that mud, cold weather, and I really grew to hate dealing with that plumbing during the winter time. And a lot of things in the winter, was a pain. And well, just the house being up off the ground like that, like I said before, it's an old house. The floor's not insulated. So when it gets cold under this house, it's cold. And this floor stays cold. Once it gets cold, it stays cold most all winter. And you really can't heat it. I mean, you can heat the house, but you can't heat down around the floor. It's just cold. There ain't nothing I can do to fix that except for get under this house and put insulation under the whole house. That's what it needs, and I need to do that. But it's easy to sit around and say what I need to do. It's another thing to get out there and do it. It is kind of a miserable task crawling around under this house and putting up insulation. And let's face it, it's gonna be pricey. I'm gonna have to buy all that stuff. So, it's easy to put something like that off. But it makes it harder to heat the house every winter, so it's kind of a catch-22. But, that's some of the reasons that I'm not particularly crazy about winter. If this house was on a slab, I didn't have to worry with all that, it'd be a little different story. Yeah, I think there's something about winter that's nice. It's pretty, in a way. It's weird to think it's pretty when everything's dead. But I kind of like it, I like parts about it. You can go out there and go hunting. It's hunting season. But, the cold weather is, as far as it being uncomfortable, there's that. But it also causes a lot of problems. Stuff breaking and tearing up. Stuff don't want to work. It's just, it can be kind of annoying. I don't know. It's part of the deal. I don't hate it as bad as I used to. That PEX plumbing did real good. I'm fitting to sneeze. Excuse me. That PEX plumbing, at least the plumbing don't bust every time. Like I said, it froze last year one time, but if you leave it running, it won't freeze. Just leave a little drip going. And we got a sink and a toilet in the very back room. We also got our regular bathrooms kind of in the middle of the house. So if you just leave it kind of dripping in the front bathroom and the back bathroom, it usually won't freeze. And so I just had to remember to do that. I was thinking about putting in a wood burning heater this year, and I got one from a friend of mine. But I'm really going to have to move a lot of stuff around to get one in this living room. And I really hadn't figured out how I'm going to do it yet. So I'm just not sure yet if I'm even going to put it in here. It had a broke place in the side of it, and we had it welded. So I also need to test it out before I do all that moving around and go buy all this pipe, stove pipe, sheet metal and stuff to put it in the window. And then it's smoke all over the place. So I need to test it out outside. Just see, make sure it ain't leaking real bad nowhere. Or leaking period for that matter, because I don't want to be breathing that stuff. But we got gas. We usually use gas and electric heat. But we got to put some more fuel in the gas tank, propane. So I'm working on that. It's always money, but the thing about it is, there's this place up here in town. It's called Multi-County, and like they help out elderly people. It's on a fixed income with their gas and a lot of other things, and they real good. It's a good thing, organization. But this year, I'll tell you, I don't know what changed. If it's different management or what, but this year I have been trying to get them all summer to sign off on that. Well, they usually give you one tank of gas, but I think this time they only gonna do like $100 and something, $150, and a full tank's like double that. So I don't know, but I've been back and forth, called them. I know I've called them 5 or 6 times, and they keep saying, call back, they'll call me back. I don't know what the deal is with them. Maybe they'll come on with it. Maybe they just backed up, trying to do a lot. I don't know. But that helps out a lot. So I'm kind of waiting on them to see if they're going to do that before I just go ahead and buy a tank of gas. But I don't want to wait too long, because once it starts getting cold, everybody will be buying it. And they'll get out here, though. But it kind of slows them down getting out of here. I don't want to wait and have the temperature drop down real cold and then we need it. And because it was about out. We had to cut it off last winter because it about run out. But we was right at the end of the winter, so we didn't sit there and refill it again. We just went ahead and cut it off and used little electric heaters for the rest of the winter. So we'll see what happens. I still got a little time. It usually don't get real cold down here. It'll way on over in December and January, really, before it really gets cold. And one year, we used just regular old electric heaters, and they worked all right. But it was just me and Mom, and we just heated the areas that we were in, and they worked all right. But we got a couple of options. I can put this wood burning heater in, provided that it works all right, and it should. And if it does have a leak somewhere, I can fix that. And there's plenty of places to get firewood around here. There's cutovers. Everywhere I go, there's cutovers around here. And so they got one up right over here within 2 miles of the house. That's all kind of wood sitting out there. But anyway, I don't know. We'll just have to play it by ear. So It's coming up though. Winter's coming up, so we'll figure out how it's gonna work out. It ain't extremely bad though. Like I said, bad comes to worse. We have used electric heat, and it worked fine. It run the power bill up, but by the time you sit there and pay the gas company $200 a month, I mean, you can just about heat it cheaper with electric heaters than you can running that gas, running that infrared heater. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't like the infrared heater that much. I feel like when you turn it on, the heat just goes up to the top of the room and just kind of sits up there in the ceiling. Now, you can get a fan and put in them, you know. And I thought about getting one of them and putting in it where it blows it out more. But it never blows it down in the floor. It just blows it out in the middle of the room. And like I said before, the floor is where the coldness comes from in our house, being up off the ground like it is. So the little space heaters that you set on the floor, they work really, to me personally, I feel like they work better than that gas infrared heater that's up on the wall. Because, I mean, like it's set up, like I said, all the heat just goes up to the top of the room, and you can turn that thing wide open. And it's a big one. It's got like 6 grates on it, or 5 grates. Yeah, 5 grates. And you can turn that thing, and we never turn it up to 5, but we have when it was extremely cold. I mean, and it'll get warm in here, but it'll mainly be like extremely hot when you stand up. The ceiling and all, it'll be just like 90 degrees up there. And then down at the floor, it'll be 60, you know. So it just don't, and you can turn the ceiling fan on, kind of helps, but in a way it kind of don't, because it kind of makes it feel colder with that air blowing off of the fan. So I don't know, it's a trick. I'm not wild about the gas anyway, because I don't really, I mean, they say it's clean burning and all this stuff, but in the long run, I don't know how healthy it is. I mean, you know, they say all kind of crap, and that they say stuff for years, and then they come back and they say, oh, well, they got a class action lawsuit against this company or that company because after all these years, this stuff was killing people, you know, and they got this disease or that disease. But all the years up until that happens, they telling everybody, oh, it's fine, it's healthy, it's nothing bad about it, you know. So I don't really trust butane, but, you know, what do I know? I'm not a scientist. But I know my grandma, and I've cleaned houses before. I used to clean houses for a living at one point. And I've noticed that if you burn butane, there's a film that gets on stuff. People that have butane in their house, especially in the kitchen, butane stoves and all that, seems like that film gets on stuff like a sticky film. Now, I'm no expert, and I'm probably talking out of school, you know. I'm sure there are efficient burning stoves and heaters, and I'm probably just paranoid. But I'm not 100% sure that there ain't something, some sort of fumes or residual stuff that makes it out of that flame and gets into the air. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. Neither. I'm not going to sit here and criticize any of y'all that's got it, because like I said, we got it and we use it. But I'm a little skeptical of how clean burning it really truly is. But anyway, we'll see what happens. I mean, I met a guy at the flea market that said his doctor told him to get rid of their wood burning heater, said it was putting out carbon monoxide. So, I don't know. You got to die of something, I reckon. You know, to me, in a way, the electric heat seems to be, as far as air quality goes, seems to be the one that affects the air quality the least, you know, even more than a central unit in a way, because it seems like to me that a central unit running ductwork is going to get all kind of dust in that ductwork. And over the years, there will be times when humidity and with the hot and the cold temperature, And again, I am talking completely out of school. I'm speculating. But I think that in that ductwork, probably there is some moisture at some times, but I could be wrong. And there's probably a little bit of mold growth that happens. These mold spores are everywhere. And you get dust, next thing you know, you got a little bit of mold. It's pumping it in the air. I'm not sure of that, but I know I've been in a lot of places before and just look up, in an old building or in a hospital. I was in a hospital recently, and I just looked up there, could see where the ductwork come out at the vent, and you can see mold all around it, and that's in a hospital where it's condensed, water condensed, because the hot and the cold temperature change. I've seen it a lot. If you start looking at those vents in places, you'll notice a lot of times you can see watermarks where moisture is condensed around those things. And you'll see mold if you look close. So, I don't trust it. But, we live in mold. Mold spores are everywhere. You can't escape them. It's when they're in high concentration that they can be a problem, irritate your respiratory tract. Living out here in the country, you go outside, it's mold everywhere. You're breathing it all the time. I'm not as scared of it as, at times I've got kind of paranoid of it, but really realistically, I grew up in the country breathing it all the time. It's probably good for your immune system, truth be known. I'm just speculating. But anyway, I got to get in here. I was trying to heat up a little food, make some breakfast. So I was just doing my little daily, it's kind of like a diary or something. Basically just, like I said before, I really never could stick to writing down a diary every day. It's pretty easy just to hit record on my phone now, and I can put it on here and save it. I'll have it, later on when I get real low, I may be bored or something. I can go back and laugh at some of it. But anyway, anybody that cares to tune in and see it, well, that's cool too. So, if you did, if somebody's hearing me say it, they obviously watched it. I appreciate you taking time to sit down and watch it. And you got something to chat about, that's what I'm here for. Put it down there in the comments, and we'll have a conversation about it. But anyway, I'm going to get in here and try to get some stuff done. Hope y'all have a good rest of the day. We'll see you next time.